Hello everyone, this here is the LEGO Star Wars Millennium Falcon released in 2019. It comes with 1,351 pieces and it retails for $170 US. And it comes with 5 minifigures as well as 2 droids. All of those we'll take a look at later, but for right now we're going to start off with the Millennium Falcon. This Millennium Falcon fixed a lot of problems that the previous Millennium Falcons had. The big example that everybody talks about is the way that these sections look here. They used to be all these different little sections that had all the gaps in between them, but now they're just one big section. You lift them up as just one section here, and they're all connected. You don't see any weird gaps in there. They're all just connected together, and it looks very smooth. Like when you look at it from the outside, you don't see many gaps, which is very important, I feel like, for the Millennium Falcon to not have a bunch of gaps. All of the previous versions of the Millennium Falcon had just gaps all over, and you could see into the inside. This one does have some gaps. There's like this gap over here, and then there's this gap right here where you can kind of see inside, but there's not a whole lot of gaps on this one, not like the previous ones anyway. And then something else that this one has fixed here, and it wasn't even a problem really until you think about it, but this here, it was not this flush on the previous version of the Millennium Falcon. On this one here, it goes right from the circular section into these kind of front sections here. It's very flush, and it looks so much better. It makes this feel like one big connected model and not just like, you know, different sections that are all put together to make one model. It actually feels like a very cohesive model. And then turning it around to the back here, there are 3 sections here on the back that you can lift up. So it's not all the different, you know, little sections here where you lift them up and you can just see into the inside. It's just, you know, a couple different sections, and that is so much better than what we previously got. And then for the hyperdrive back here, they actually did it very differently. They actually brick built it this time. Previously, they used like a hose kind of piece there, and I personally prefer this much better. Now, the previous one used a much darker blue color, and I think that the darker blue may have been a little bit more accurate, but I do like the way how this is brick built and stuff there, so I think that looks better than the previous version. Here, there are lots of stickers on the outside, but I think the stickers definitely help for the aesthetic of this. But could those have been prints? Yes, especially like all these pieces back here. Those are all stickers, all these kind of like grill pieces. Those really should have been prints. I mean, there's 6 of them in the set. That would have been very nice if there had been prints. But opening these up here leads us into the interior. Looking at the interior of the Millennium Falcon, this one definitely has one of the more empty interiors of a LEGO Millennium Falcon. There really just isn't a whole lot going on with it. Right here we kind of have the chess table and then the 3 chairs right there. Now, unfortunately, all the decorations there on the chairs, those are all stickers. But fortunately, the chess table, that is a print, which is definitely very good there. I do like this chair over here as well. I think that that looks really good, the way that that's done and everything. I think that that looks nice. And there's a console back there for whoever is in this chair. They can look at that console over there. And then there's also this little container over here in the corner. And there's nothing in that. But there just isn't a whole lot going on with this Millennium Falcon here. Interior-wise, there just isn't much going on with it. Now, there are these beds right here. And those definitely do look nice. You can put a minifigure in there. And that definitely looks really good. I do like that a lot, the way that that looks. And there's the hyperdrive unit is also kind of disappointing. On the previous Millennium Falcon, there were 2 hyperdrive units, and they were pretty big, whereas this one is just one smaller hyperdrive unit there, and that's just a little bit unfortunate. I do wish that there were maybe a bigger hyperdrive there. That would definitely be nice. And then there's also this container over here as well. I don't believe there's anything in that either. And there's also this little, like, kind of hose tube element there. I do really like that. I wish that there was a lot more of that kind of, like, almost greebling detail in this. There just needed to be more kind of just around, like, the floor of the Millennium Falcon, and just more stuff to do. There's also this little, like, chair over here and stuff, but that's not really, you can see the minifigure there, but there's not really, like, a whole lot you can do with that. And then there's this right here. If you lift that up, it's kind of like a hiding spot there where you can put like a minifigure down in there, and you can actually almost use it as like an escape pod if you pull these two pins out right there, you can actually kind of drop this section out and use it as like an escape pod, which is, it's not too difficult to do actually, which is definitely a good thing there. And then this here, you can drop this down, and this is a little bit unfortunate because it's like a walkway down there, but then if you just put it on the ground, there's not really much space. I mean, to put a minifigure, there's just not a whole lot of space to get a minifigure down there, which is kind of unfortunate. So you can't really use the walkway much. I mean, you can kind of put a minifigure on it like walking into the ship, but there just isn't much you can do, and that's kind of how this whole interior is. I mean, it's like there's definitely a lot of good stuff in it, but there's just not a whole lot of stuff really to feel like a full Millennium Falcon interior, especially a Lego Millennium Falcon that is this size. It needs more in the interior, that is for sure. Taking off the cockpit here, you can fit 2 minifigures inside of there. It is a tight fit there, but it definitely is possible. And you got like a little control stick here and stuff. And there are some consoles there and stuff as well. And yeah, this is pretty much the same as the ones in the previous versions of the Millennium Falcon. But I feel like, you know, it looks fine. Definitely is pretty small, but I feel like it looks fine, and it definitely does its job. When it comes to the gunning position on this ship, there is this little rack here in the middle of the ship, and you can put 2 minifigures on that there, and there's kind of like this little control stick there that the minifigures can use, and yeah, that just slides in and out of there very easily, so I do really like that. And then I also like the way that this little gun here looks on top. I really like the usage of the ski pieces there to kind of get that like little look there for that gun. And obviously you can turn this like 360, and you can angle this up and down because that is on a ball joint there. So I do really like that a lot. And there's actually another one of those as well on the bottom of the ship. And yeah, unfortunately these ski pieces can start to kind of fall off there and bend upwards just when this is on the ground there. So that's a little bit unfortunate, but yeah, you can turn this around as well, 360, and yeah, I really like the way that looks, and I think that was just a great part usage. They're using the ski pieces as kind of like the guns there. I think that just looks really nice. There is one more thing that you can shoot with on this ship. There are some spring-loaded shooters in there, and if you just like push down on them, they will fire off there. And if you don't like the red tips, the way that they stick out, you can leave those out, but they are integrated in there pretty well. I do like that a lot. And one more thing about this ship, I feel like LEGO did a pretty good job on, is mixing the light gray and dark gray together. I feel like they did a good job just kind of mixing the two colors together. Like on the front here, there's like the light gray and then the dark gray there. So if they're going to do the mixing colors thing, like if they're going to try to mix all these colors together, I think that they did a really good job kind of knowing when to put different colors in this model here. So yeah, overall I feel like this gets most of the things right on the Millennium Falcon. Misses on a few things, but gets most of it right, especially this shaping here and then not having all the gaps right here. Here are the minifigures that are included in this set, and I feel like all of these minifigures look really good. Chewbacca, C-3PO, and R2-D2, those are just kind of the normal versions that we usually get in these sets here. But the other minifigures are all really great. Lando Calrissian here, he is one of my favorite, honestly, LEGO Star Wars sequel trilogy minifigures that LEGO produced. There's just something about this minifigure that I really like. And maybe the cape, how there's like the two parts to it, and then how there's the blue and then the black on the back there. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. And then, I mean, there's not a whole lot of print for that minifigure either. It's pretty simple and stuff. There's no prints for the leg either. So I'm not sure why I like it, but it's just something about how the colors are blended together and everything. Just looks really nice. Now, I do really like the face as well. I think that's a pretty good face there. And then Finn, I feel like he's a really good minifigure as well. I think the prints, the way that the prints look and everything, really nice. I think that hairpiece definitely represents how that character looks in The Rise of Skywalker, definitely. And then we have Boolio. Now, he is a surprise to see in this set because he's not in the movie for very long. He's really only in the beginning of the film. So to see him in this set here is honestly kind of surprising, but I feel like if LEGO was going to include him, they at least did that minifigure right. I think that the head mold looks really nice, and I do like how these pieces there kind of more bendier there. They kind of have the more flexible plastic used for them. And yeah, I think just the prints and everything about that minifigure is very nice there. And then here we have D.O., which is a new droid that was introduced in The Rise of Skywalker. And I think that this is just a great droid. Very, very nice droid. The way the prints look and everything. It's very unique, too. Like the way the cone head looks and kind of like the circular part. Honestly, I really like this droid a lot. I think that this droid, honestly, is better than BB-8. Just in my opinion, he's a lot more unique for sure, I feel like. I don't know. I like both, but I think that this droid, honestly, may be even better than BB-8, especially in Lego form, for sure. I really like the way that looks in Lego form, for sure. And then removing Lando's cape there lets you see the print on the back, and I feel like that print looks really nice as well. Again, very simplistic, but I think it still looks good. And then his alternate face also looks really good, and there's what that looks like with the hair. And then Finn also has an alternate face. Now, my Finn face, for some reason, is like way off. Like, the front face is definitely aligned there, pretty centered. And then you turn it around to the back, and this face is definitely more towards the right. So, that was kind of a big problem there with Lego for a couple years. And they've seemed to have fixed that, but it still seems to be a problem. So, that's a little bit unfortunate there, but I feel like all the prints in the back look really nice, especially Bulio's print there. That looks really nice, and I also like the way the head mold looks in the back. It looks very alien-like for sure there. So, yeah, all of these minifigures are just great minifigures, and Bulio feels like a little bit of a weird inclusion, but I still think that he's a really good minifigure. So this set retails for £150 UK, $170, and €170. And since this set was originally released in 2019, LEGO has increased the price by $10. The set originally retailed for $160 US, and I do feel like that is too expensive for the set here, but this is definitely a case where you're paying for a premium product, you're paying for a really good display model. I do think this is definitely the best minifigure scaled Lego Star Wars Millennium Falcon that we've ever gotten before. The UCS one, I can't compare this to the UCS one in any way whatsoever. The UCS one is a giant set that just can't be compared to this whatsoever, because this is a set that doesn't have to be bought by some super Lego fan. This can just be enjoyed by normal people who are not, extreme Lego fans. I do feel like this one fixes so many of the issues that was on the previous one. There's just not a whole lot of gaps in, these main sections here. There are still gaps, though, like right here. There's lots of gaps you can kind of see inside of there for sure. So that's definitely a little bit unfortunate there. I do think that the hyperdrive on the back looks really good there. I think that it looks much better than the previous version that we got of the Millennium Falcon. That was more like a darker blue kind of like tube hose piece, and I think that this is just much better. It maybe is a little bit too light blue though, but I think that the exterior is so much better on this one. The interior though is better on the old one, I will say that. I think the perfect version of this would be this exterior with maybe slightly less gaps with the 2015 version's interior. That version, from what I've seen, has a really good interior. I unfortunately don't have that Millennium Falcon, so I can't really compare the two, but I thought I would compare it to something just to give you a little bit of a sense of scale here. This is the previous Lego Millennium Falcon microfighter that we got back in 2021, and I believe this is actually retired now, which is a little bit unfortunate. But, I mean, it's just not even comparable. This is very big. This was only $10. But if you have this one, I thought I would just do that really quick since I don't have the 2015 version of the Millennium Falcon. But I do think that it's a little bit too expensive. It does come with 1,351 pieces. So, price to part, it definitely is too expensive. There's not a whole lot of bigger pieces, honestly. I mean, there's some, bigger pieces for these panel sections. There's obviously the cockpit, which that's definitely a very big piece. But I honestly don't think that there's a whole lot of larger pieces in this. But there's also not a whole lot of smaller pieces either. So I think it works out. 150 would be where I'd like to see this, around like 150 or so. Minifigures are awesome. I love the minifigures. Bulio there doesn't really make sense to be included in this set, but they were going to include him. They did him right. They made him look awesome there. The head printing looks very nice. So this is definitely a case where it's too expensive, but you do get a really good set if you do end up buying it. It's not that big. It's pretty easy, honestly, to find this place to display it. Again, it's not like a UCS set whatsoever. I also really like the way that this was done here using the ski pieces. I really like that a lot there. I think that looks really good. And the way that this is just flush here looks nice. I like how there's not a whole lot of gaps in there. That also looks really nice. So overall, this is a really good set for sure. This is honestly probably my favorite, I would say, one of my favorites at least, Lego Star Wars set that's not a UCS set. I can't compare UCS sets. That's not fair whatsoever, but this is definitely one of my more favorite ones that's not a UCS set. So anyways, that will do it for this review. If you maybe can find it a little bit discounted, I'd recommend it. Another thing I wanted to mention as well is this one is still on the market. You definitely can still buy it. And I don't think LEGO will retire this one anytime soon, because they're going to want to have a Millennium Falcon on the market for people to buy, because that would just be not very smart if they didn't have one on the market. Now, I do think we'll get a new one probably in the next couple of years for sure, but this one's just so good that there's just not a whole lot of improvement to be done to, need to have a new Millennium Falcon already only 4 years later. So this is a really good set. I highly recommend it. Even if you can't find it on sale, I think I still recommend this one because it's just that good of a set. So thank you all for watching, and I will see you on the next one.